As I was getting better from COVID, I went out for a walk. On the way back, whatever the reason was, I was thinking about the cause and effect relationship. In karma, they talk about cause and effect. Because of what happened in the past, this is what it is. And because of this would happen. So it's a sequence of events. And in Buddhism, they talk about dependent origination. Basically, there are three vehicles, three ways for attainment. One is Shomon, which is Eight Noble Path, to learn from the teacher and get understanding to start with. The second one may be Bodhisattva. This is a 6 parameter, including, I don't remember exactly what the sequence was, but Jikai, have a good discipline, give away what you've got. It's all related to the act of you let go of yourself and focus on being in calm and quiet mind to find the wisdom, which is attainment or satori or awakening. And the third vehicle is engaku. I don't know what they say in English. It means because of some certain condition, all of a sudden the awakening happens. So the third one, engaku, is the way that Buddha found the satori or awakening. That's the story. So there are three vehicles, and the Buddha's way is the last one. Almost by accident, satori happens. Actually, whatever the situation is, when the idea pops up, we feel like it's like accident. Intuition pops up out of nowhere. So, to me, that makes very much sense. My awakening may be seen like that, but I don't think we need to go into it. But what happened is that I was having a pain, but by realizing that I may be causing the pain because of my getting out of the pain, that opened up the channel, so to speak, and I got awakening. So it almost sounded like an accident for me because it came out of nowhere. So back to the story of my coming back from walk. For some reason I was going through, why did I catch COVID? What could I have done different? What lessons I have learned? I was going through the logic of cause and effect related to the COVID and BA.5 Omicron variant. And I could figure out, and then I was applying the same logic. What's the cause and effect of my life, where I am, who I am? So when I thought about it, this dependent origination came up. The whole 12 steps are something like, beginning is mumyo, which is ignorance or chaos. And then the beginning is to look at how the human species or the human being is developed from having a sexual intercourse and then growing up the species within the uterine and learning how to smell and hear, touch, all of that, and then start to use the faculty to digest the information and come up with a consciousness and the word, and then through that is birth, and related to the birth we learn stuff from imprint and others, and therefore our consciousness develops, and we may get sick, old, and die eventually. And the process of life, therefore, is to go beyond the law of entropy, try to overcome the hurdles, and that is suffering. So how do you get out of suffering was the question for Buddha. So what he came up with, I believe, is when he was thinking through these 12 steps. I'm not going to go into detail of each of them, but if you think about, in my case, I thought about me as I was young and learning, I learned the language. I know who parents are and what I need to do or whatever. And I still remember I was perhaps 6 or 8 years old, when I learned about death, and I was concerned, and I was talking to myself. Or I may have picked the flower and pulling the petal, I die, I don't die, I die, I don't die, something like that, hoping that I get the eternal life. So that was the beginning of my logic of what life is, and eventually I'll die, and I want to figure out how to not die. But at the end, that logic doesn't hold by itself. That no matter how you wish, it's not going to work. So when I was going back from the work, I was relating to the fact that if I were not born, I didn't have suffering. If I didn't have consciousness, I don't exist. But I do exist now. But I didn't exist if I were in a different setting. So if my germ or the sermon piece, it doesn't have the connection with the female side, then I wouldn't have born. But if I didn't get birth, some other birth may be happening, and I may be in a different country, different race, different situation, but maybe going through a similar situation. So no matter what the situation is, the human being is like that. But the fact is that I think I exist, but I don't exist if I were not born or not having the parents and all of that. And I wouldn't be able to speak Japanese or English if I were in a different country, born and raised in a different custom. So this is just varieties of billions of people being born and learn about life. All of that is happening. So looking at this way, I felt, well, it goes back to nothingness. It's just a coincidence, and I'm a miracle. But this miracle is truly a miracle that I exist, and the billion people's life is all miracle, as much as everything else around me is a miracle that happened, whatever the combination they came up with. Except me, Kyo, in this instance, has this body and the feeling and all the causes that I can think and also be able to relate to some of the teaching from Buddha or Christianity and all of that to figure out what life is about. But at the end still, it's just a coincidence. So if we look at the fact instead of me at the center, but the phenomena of how I was born, I just became me because of the circumstance, because of what happened in the past, and all the cause and effect relationship, and how I learned language, and the custom, the system, who this person is, and what to do, and how to get rid of suffering. But you don't have to if you are not born. So it's nothingness if you come to realize that. Whatever is the symptom, phenomena, ephemeral process of no solid, firm foundation, it's just the phenomena, just like light shining, or I think that was Kenji Miyazawa talking about life. It's just like blue lights flashing back and forth. It's kind of like an image of the neuron firing in his poem sometime. So if that's the realization, then it's nothingness. And by the way, Kenji Miyazawa had learned from the Lotus Sutra, and in that sutra is dependent origination, those 12 cause and effect karma story to go with the enlightenment. So his view of that blue-white light flickering and the image of this neuron firing is just the way it is, except in person as Kyo, I feel I exist and there's a pain and I want to be enlightened or get out of the pain or learn what to do and all of that stuff. So what does that mean? If we know this dependent origination, cause and effect, or karma, to become a human, and the way we are, and as if Buddha may have learned how to look at the situation we are in due to this dependent origination, the cause and effect relationship of how we learn this whole use of the word and the concept and the me and you and ego and what to do and how to suffer and get out of suffering. That is just a phenomena, a game. But if we understand that's a game based upon just the coincidence of living life, and if we understand that as it is, not more than thinking about me and what to do, but just looking at the reality of existence, the consciousness, what we got here and now, and how the law of nature is manifesting for me to live, for me to exist. And then we came from that, and we go back from that to that, as well as we're living because of that phenomena, what we call life. Then we have a different perspective to live, to make the most of what we got every moment of life and be happy. Maybe too simplistic, I don't know. But that's just a thought that popped up. And this discussion of three vehicles and Engaku, the third vehicle, the idea behind Buddhism, may be meaningful to note so that we have some perspective of who we are, why we are here, how we are developing, where we are going, and how to settle the suffering, the process of life, and doing the best, and be happy. When I say be happy, what it means is do our best and realize who we are and live according to how the universe is manifesting within us. Meaning relating to the process and be able to appreciate. Thank you. May all beings be